Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you're doing well. While we're waiting on folks to join, reminding you that my website is coopedup.com. You can visit that anytime. If you are on other social platforms, Instagram, TikTok, mostly Instagram, not so much TikTok. I'm Cooped Up is my handle in those places, wherever you are watching or listening to this. Be sure to click that bell so that you get notified whenever I post new content, go live, whatever, all of that. And last but not least, if you ever need to just send me a hot tip about something or ask me a question or anything, you can always text me at 214-949-8599. That is my community text number. I check it a few times a day. It doesn't actually go to my text. It goes to a service that I use. So in case I don't answer immediately, that is why. 214-949-8599 is that number. So text me anytime. Hey, Mama. Good to see you. I'm a local queen today. Look at that. So y'all know I am a sucker for an Instagram ad. I mean, I kid you not. And Facebook is just as bad, but Instagram in particular, if you are serving me ads on there about stuff, I just love everything. I love everything on there. And this was one of my maybe a little tipsy purchases. It just came today. And you can't really see it on the screen right now, but it is slightly sparkly on top of that. So I thought that was a funny shirt to wear today. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not feeling great today. I had the worst night's sleep last night. I woke up at about 1:30, 2 o'clock, and had a splitting headache. And is there such thing as a sinus migraine? This felt, because it was a different kind of headache. It felt like it was coming from right here and then radiating through my sinuses, behind my eyes, in my head. And I think it's in advance of these storms that keep coming through. I think that blows in a bunch of cedar or whatever. But it hurt. And then I could not go back to sleep until almost 4 o'clock. I just laid in bed. And I would try to go to sleep, but it was just pounding. And I took like 4 Advil. It did not help it. Also, it does not help that for some reason for like the last 3 days, I have had the song I Hope He Cheats by Carrie Underwood stuck in my head. And then I hope he cheats like he cheated on me. Pardon my lounge club singing. But that's literally the only words I know to the song. But that da 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 da, just playing over and over and over again. So I have this headache that is radiating from my sinuses throughout my whole head, laying in bed, knowing that I have a very important meeting. I had a meeting with the president of a company today, my first in-person work meeting. And it was crazy. And so then I'm a little stressed about that as well. So I finally fell asleep at about 4 o'clock, and then I have to wake up at 6:30 to get ready, to get the kids to school, all that stuff. So all told, I'm normally a hard 8 when it comes to number of hours I sleep, that is. Dirty people. But I'm glad Carrie wasn't on yet. She would totally bust me on that. So I usually sleep from 10 to 6. Like that is my sleep pattern. I'll get up maybe once to pee in the night. Last night I got 10 to, let's say 2, 4 hours plus, so I got like 5 hours of sleep. So I was like a zombie most of the day. I am huffed up on caffeine right now. It seems I've taken Tylenol, I've taken Advil, and I still have this kind of low grade headache right now. The only thing breaking through is the caffeine. So it is helping. And where your CBD be? I took that also, and it was not doing anything. Like nothing was busting. And the funny thing is, I'm only a little bit congested, so I don't know what's going on because I can still breathe through my nose. It's not like I'm all stuffed up. But a sinus migraine is the closest I could think to call it what it is. I guess I could have Googled that instead of asking y'all about it. But yeah. And like I said, I had an in-person meeting today with the president of one of my clients' companies to talk about some stuff, obviously. And so that added to the stress of the day, my first meeting. I wasn't even sure what I was going to wear because I don't know what fits me anymore. So I think I found a pair of khakis. I'm wearing them right now. I did not wear this shirt to the meeting, by the way. I'm wearing a pair of khakis right now that have a lot of stretch in the waist. And I'm pretty sure that these are going to be my go-to pants for quite a while. Todd has started cooking because he wants to do low carb. And I was like, if you're going to make low carb, you got to make it. I'm not doing it. Mike is saying COVID. God, it better not be. I did get my temperature checked today at the client meeting, and I did not have a fever at all. So don't even plant that in my head. Now I have to go get a fucking test. Oh, God, please don't be. And Michelle is saying neti pot. I could try that, but like I said, I'm not that congested. So I don't know. I think it's literally just my allergies. And because I typically get worse allergies when a cold front is about to blow in or a big storm is about to blow in. I feel like there's a lot of maybe the barometric pressure. Is that a thing? I think it rises as storms come in, as it gets stormier, and all the pollen and stuff that blows in. But anyway, today is a milestone day in the life of Cooper Koch. 11 years ago, today, I actually became Cooper Koch. What do you call it? So I legally had my name changed from Cooper Smith. Cooper Mason Smith was my name before, my birth name. And then I had it legally changed to Cooper Smith Koch, Smith being my middle name now. 11 years ago today. What do you call that? Is it my Kochiversary? Like, I don't know what you call that. Because we did it, marriage equality wasn't a thing yet. So the funny thing is that my marriage certificate says Cooper Koch is marrying Todd Koch. Like, I already had the same last name. Like, that is kind of weird, isn't it? But legally, we already had the same last names. And, other people are like, why didn't... Well, so I've had a number of reactions to people changing their names and all of that, my name and all of that kind of stuff. So a lot of people are like, how could you change your name? That's your identity. I'm like, nah, it's not. First of all, my last name was Smith. That's no great treasure. So let's leave it at that. Secondly, actually, I don't think my name, Cooper, yes, Cooper is definitely part of my personality and my brand, if you will. Cooped up. Yeah, that's a brand. I own the trademark. But I don't see the last name necessarily as being like an identifier of who I am, despite the fact that I own a company that is Cooper Smith Agency is my PR firm's name. But I don't know. I just didn't want to. I wanted the same last name as our kids, especially since we didn't know marriage equality was on the way or not or whatever. I wanted the same last name as the kids in case of emergencies or whatever. I want it to be simple. I tend to keep it simple, stupid, KISS. And the simplest answer is usually the right one. And isn't that Yoakum's razor? What's that called? Edge, something like that. But so I was like, I don't want to hyphenate it. That becomes complicated. Also, I think that so many hyphenated names, ours included, sound like something that should burn and itch instead of identify you. And I didn't want that. So I was, did you hear he's got that Koch Smith disease? Yeah, that's how I felt about it. So I had it changed. It wasn't actually hard at all. I went to LegalZoom and paid them like $300 to do the package for me. They send you all of the paperwork required. Now, I'm not coaching you to change your names. I'm just letting you know. Send you all the paperwork already filled in and everything. Tell you where to go, what to do, all of that kind of stuff. Because you have to do an FBI background check. You have to do a sex offender background check. There's a couple of background checks that you have to have done. You have to certify that you are not changing your name to escape like debts and things like that. And then you have to appear in front of a judge. It takes 3 visits to the courthouse to do it. Submit, pick up, take it to submit the background checks, pick them up, take them to another office. You have to do it yourself. And then you have to make a court date appearance. And I appeared before a judge, and I was advised not to say that I want the same name as my partner, my now spouse, because it's a crapshoot in Texas about what they do. So I said, I want the same name as my adopted children. That's what I said. And he was like, done. Boom. 2 seconds to go. Everything else up, it's in family court is where they do it. And it was all divorces. And it was crazy, the stuff that I was listening to about other people's marriages dissolving and divorces and all that kind of stuff. But is it my Kochiversary? Smith Koch disease sounds better, Monica's saying. My controversy is today, 11 years. And that's weird because actually it also happened. So we already had Claire at the time, but her adoption had a little bit of legal hiccups on it. So it actually took longer to do than Mason's. So Mason, I adopted as Cooper Mason Smith, I think. Yes, I think that sounds right. No, that sounds right because he's almost 12. And then Claire, because hers took like 18 months to finalize, I'm already Cooper Smith Koch on hers. So I have different names actually on the kids' birth certificates. So is that anything like Kochrat? Yes. It doesn't help that our part of the family, instead of saying Coke or Cook, they say Koch. I don't know why my in-laws say Koch. My in-laws actually don't say Koch. They say Koch, which is how you say it in German. It's more of a feeling than a word. It means cook. But Todd and Nina say Koch for some reason, but I'm fine with it. Rhymes with Scotch. Cooper Koch, I like the alliteration of it. I like the way my name sounds that way. But I didn't realize how often it is mispronounced, paralyzing to people who don't know how to pronounce it, or spelled wrong. I see my name because Cooper gets misspelled all the time also. So I see Copper all the time. So actually I own coppersmithagency.com. Like I have all these rules set up that if something goes to me that says Copper, I still get it, right? So Copper and then Cock. We see it as Cock all the time. So I'm Copper Cock. That's like a low rent Austin Powers fill-in. Yeah, so that's 11 years ago. My controversy. Speaking of being a villain, I did something today that made me feel like a total dick, and it was totally in my right to do it. I went to Chipotle. That's not the thing I did. I went to Chipotle, and they have a sign on the door as of today that says, unvaccinated people are required to wear, per CDC guidelines, unvaccinated people are required to wear masks. That's the new rule, right? And we went to a restaurant yesterday with my staff for our first day back, and that was on their door too. And so we didn't wear masks in the restaurant. At Chipotle, I walk in, and I had one of my coworkers with me. And so he and I were standing in line, and because he had forgotten his mask. We were the only ones not wearing a mask, other than there was a woman also not wearing a mask. But the three of us were not wearing masks in a pretty long line of people who were all wearing masks. And it felt really weird. And he had forgotten his mask, so he actually wasn't going to go in. He was going to text me his order, but then I got in, and I was like, you can come in. You don't have to wear a mask. So we're standing there, and I felt like a dick. Like I felt like a jerk. Not wearing my mask, knowing full well that that's the new rules, that I'm protected, everyone's protected from me, all that kind of stuff, right? And so it was weird. And I was thinking about it. So there's a couple of things that came out of that. So I'm standing there talking to him, and I'm starting to feel a little self-conscious about it, but not so much that I wanted to put the damn mask on. It was around my wrist, by the way, which I don't know, maybe that adds to the assholeness of it, that I physically had it on me and I wasn't wearing it. But I found myself talking very loudly with him, reminding me of my dad. He does this a lot, talking very loudly about things that I wanted to make sure other people around us heard. Like, and I think a lot of people do this, and not trying to pick on my dad. But I was like, so John, when did your vaccine kick in? Oh, mine kicked in March. Yeah, it's like very deliberately talking about being vaccinated. Like, hey, you in the back, did you hear? I'm vaccinated. It was so weird. Yeah. And Aaron is saying, you're so short, no one noticed. Yeah, there's that big blonde tower over there with no mask on, like a beacon. Mike is saying he walked into the local HEB and acted like he owned the place today. Felt great. And I am a villain, Crystal. But it was interesting to me to think of, like, the more I was thinking about it, how it's kind of the villainization of people not wearing masks, and the virtue signaling that we were doing beforehand, and the politicalization of it. Is that the right word? I think it is. Of it has kind of come home to roost now. Because I posted on Facebook, I was like, I'm at Chipotle not wearing a mask. I kind of feel like a dick. That's what I put on my Facebook. And some people were like, yeah, me too. It's so weird. It's so weird. Other people were like, I want to wear a shirt that says I'm vaccinated or a badge that says I'm vaccinated, so people know that I'm not one of those people. It's kind of funny how that's come home to roost, that all of our criticisms of other people over the past year or so, all of that, it's just, it did feel, I was like, do they know that I'm okay? And then Carrie's going to be on tomorrow, and we're going to talk about one other thing about not wearing masks, because she has a similar experience, and I don't want to spoil it, so I'll leave it at that. But I did post on my Facebook about this, and it is funny how many people feel the need to write a manifesto in response to me literally just making a joke about not wearing a mask and that I felt like a dick. Literally, that is the entire post. I'm at Chipotle and I'm in line at Chipotle not wearing a mask. I kind of feel like a dick. Like, that is what I said. The number of people who find it necessary to write a 4-paragraph essay, which is a lot of words on Facebook, about why they are continuing to wear a mask and why it's irresponsible and the CDC is wrong and blah, 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 blah. I wasn't talking about you, boo. That is basically what it comes down to. I wasn't talking about you, boo. Anyway, everyone has a story, I guess. I find it interesting, though, actually, how, Trader Joe's was the first national chain to drop masks and go strictly with the CDC guidance. And then Chipotle also being pretty much on the heels of them as well. I mean, I knew H-E-B would do it, and Walmart and Sam's, and I think Kroger has done it. Target has not, as far as I know, changed their policy. It's all seems to be rapidly changing though. But I was really surprised that Trader Joe's and Chipotle are like leading the pack on this, because they seem to be very like woke, social justice warriors, very progressive companies, that I would think that they would align themselves more with, like, or at least their customers tend to be kind of more on that spectrum. Maybe I'm wrong about Chipotle, but definitely Trader Joe's tends to be a crunchier crowd. I would think that that they would be a little bit more reticent to change it, because I had some people like, I'm never going to Trader Joe's again. Yeah, we'll see about that. Anyway, the governor of Texas, and I think other governors, I think I saw that New York is also doing a similar thing. The governor banned the use of mask mandates in the state of Texas today for any public entity. So the county, the city, the state, they are not allowed to issue blanket mask mandates anymore. It's banned. Now, individual businesses still have the right to do it. So you can, if you own a restaurant or you own a store or something like that, you can still require masks in the store if you want, but you don't have to. But they're not allowed to mandate it. And even public schools, as of June the 4th, are not allowed to require masks to be worn at school, which for most schools, they're out by June the 4th. But Dallas independent schools, my understanding, Eric, you're watching, I think y'all get out on like December 23rd. You're right before us. We get out the 25th. I think you're the 19th or the 23rd or sometime in that week beforehand. Get out. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens come June the 5th when they're not required to do that. Crystal is saying Target has changed. Yay! I don't know that I should be cheering for that, but interesting. And it depends. Eric's saying it depends. It depends on where you go. We went to Dunstan's the other night, not a mask to be seen. I had to go to Target after school yesterday, and everyone but one woman had one. And you noticed that woman, right? Yeah, and y'all still have 2 weeks of school after June 4th. Yeah, we have 3. It's going to be the wild, wild west. It should be interesting. Oh, and your teachers are no longer wearing masks if they're vaccinated, Aaron. That's interesting, because your school was like hardcore over the top. Y'all were having to do like pinky promises and all that shit to not contaminate each other, weren't you? And I think y'all had, because you go to a really highfalutin school, if I recall. But it'll be interesting to see how all of this plays out. A lot of people think masks don't protect the wearer. I was researching that today, and it actually, they updated their guidance in like November saying that wearing a mask protects you as well as other people. So you are protected if you are wearing a mask. It is obviously better if everyone's wearing a mask. But if you have the vaccine or you're wearing a mask, you don't have to worry about what other people are doing, trust in them or anything like that. That is my take. Now, granted, you can still potentially, there's still like that 5% chance that you might be able to catch COVID. Hopefully I don't fucking have it right now. If you are vaccinated and not wearing a mask. But I think there's like a 0% chance that you're going to die from it. Texas this weekend had 0 deaths. First time since, when was that? First time since, I think they said like November of 2020, something like that. I don't remember. There was some like milestone date. Maybe it was April. It was a long time since we've had no COVID deaths. So I thought that was notable. On that government topic, alcohol to go was made permanent in Texas by the legislature. So an alcohol to go, for those of you who don't know or aren't in Texas, is basically, Texas has fucked up alcohol laws. Like our part of town used to be dry. Now it's damp where you can buy beer and wine, but you can't buy hard alcohol unless you're at a restaurant, which it used to be you had to have a membership at that restaurant to have any alcohol. But stores now can sell beer and wine, and they used to not be able to at all. And all the liquor stores just across the river, which was the border, most of them have kind of gone belly up now because of that. And restaurants, there's a lot of on-premise and off-premise. If you can buy it and consume it off-premise, you're on-premise, you're not allowed to take it off-premise, and they loosen that. But basically, alcohol to go means if you order Mexican food and you want a margarita to go with it and you are picking it up, they can make you a margarita and put it in your to-go bag, and you can take it home and have your Mexican food and your margarita at home. That's the shorthand of it. And that was relaxed during COVID, and it's been one of those things that has stuck around. And I think it's fine. I have no problem with alcohol. Monica saying now allow casinos. I don't think that one, there was a bill to allow like 4 specific casinos, and I don't think it progressed, if I recall. Texas is weird. For those of you who aren't in Texas, Texas is weird. Our legislature is only allowed by our Constitution to meet for, it's like 100 days, 120 days. There's some set, this is news-ish, my numbers aren't always right. But there's a set number of days, and it is not a lot. It's like half a year at most, maybe like 4 months. They're only allowed to meet for a certain number of days, and they're only allowed to do it every other year. So once they adjourn, because they're at the end of at the end of this month, the term expires. So maybe it's 4 months. Maybe it's like January to the end of May, or 5 months, whatever that is. I can't count. And then they have to, unless there's a special session called about a specific topic that the governor wants addressed, like school financing, or imagine them weatherizing our power grid. I don't think that that's happened. They are not allowed to meet again for another 2 years. And that's to keep Texas from being too knee-jerky, over litigate or legislating things, responding too quickly to anything. I actually agree with it. Although we do have some crazies, it keeps them under control. We send all of our crazies to Austin, so we keep an eye on them. And Crystal is saying alcohol to go is also waiting the governor's signature in Missouri. They can't pass the damn thing else, but by God, let's pass the alcohol to go. Exactly. And so the casinos were up, and it didn't make it. And then they're wanting to pass a right for everyone to carry guns, concealed weapons in public without licenses or training or anything like that. I am not there on that one. I don't know how that is playing out, though. I don't think that one, looked like it was going to pass, but I don't think it made the threshold that it needed to do that. Did you see that? This is one of those things where I'm like, Facebook is listening to me, and I'm okay with it. So a while back, I was like, I think Facebook, and I'm the genius behind it, of course. I think Facebook needs to have a feature where you cannot share an article without having clicked on it and read it, or some sort of thing where it has to be. People can't just share things because they see a headline or it triggers them or something like that. They have to actually have read it, right? Facebook is now testing a feature that, let me get it right. It warns people that if a shared link was not opened by that person. So it's figured out a way to know that if you have seen a link on Facebook, within Facebook, if you saw an article or something and you shared it, but you did not actually click on it and open it in another browser window, it will put up a warning basically saying, this person shared this, they didn't actually read it. Take it for what you will, like that kind of thing. I think that's great. Now, I wish they would take it a step further and like you had to be on it for like 15 seconds or something. So maybe to at least consume some of it. But that's a start to slow down disinformation, misinformation, people reacting to poorly written headlines, inflammatory headlines. Headlines drive me nuts. But what do y'all think on that? I like it. I like it a lot. And then lastly, one of the things that we experienced in Vegas, and this is happening all over the place, is that there just are not enough people working or there are not enough people to fill jobs, right? Especially in like retail and a lot of things like that. And some people are blaming it on the stimulus checks. I don't think that that's actually the case. I mean, I think it may contribute to it some. I think a lot of people who worked in retail and restaurants for the year that they've been shut down, they figured out another way to make a living that was less stressful, better hours, maybe a different career, something like that. They've become a truck driver, or they have gotten an office job or something like that, right? Having to deal with fewer customers, all that kind of stuff. I think that that's what it comes down to. But there were entire stores in Las Vegas where like the door would be closed. Like what store was it? It's not Coach, but it was some high-end design, like Marc Jacobs or something like that. The door was shut. No, it was Michael Kors is the one that I saw the most. The door was shut and locked, and there was a sign on the door saying, no one to work this shift, or on break, or something like that. Come back later, like that kind of thing. I can't imagine that they want to do it that way, but they were having an issue with that. And Todd and I started thinking about that, like, minimum wage. What is minimum wage? $7.25? You know, when I was young and I was making minimum wage, it was $3.75, I think, or $3.85, something like that. It was definitely under $4, or maybe right at $4. But here's my thing. If it is $7.25, Jackie, you're hitting exactly what I was about to say. I think if these places pay their employees better, people would want to go back. When you're working 40 hours a week at $7.25, I wouldn't want to go back either. Same thing. Todd and I were talking about this very thing. There is not a lot that I would do for an hour that you could pay me $7 for. I might eat some ice cream for an hour, drink some Chardonnay for an hour. If you gave me the Chardonnay and the ice cream for free and then paid me $7, I might do that. But dealing with bitch-ass customers for $7 an hour, that's not happening. Running a cash register for $7 an hour, nope. I would actually pay you to not make me work. And think about it, $7 an hour at 8 hours, if you're working an 8-hour shift, what is that? $56? I mean, yes, I realize this is bougie, but $56 is not worth it to me. Like I'm not going to show up at work to deal with some punk ass customers. And in Vegas, drunk people, entitled people, I'm not doing it. So that's what I agree with you there. Let's see what y'all are saying. Did I see that Dale Hansen is retiring? I did not. At the end of the year, man, he is a treasure. And who knew? He kind of came out of left field on being like the sage, the conscience of America, didn't he? Dale Hansen, for those of you who don't know, is a sportscaster on the ABC affiliate here in Dallas, who he has these opinion pieces sometimes on Sundays, I think, and they're usually mostly about sports. But the first one that I remember was when Michael Sam, who was the first openly gay NBA athlete, came out and was recruited and all that kind of stuff. And Dale Hansen is surprisingly liberal, especially for an old white guy in Texas who loves sports. And he ended up being on Ellen and all kinds of stuff like this because he made this really great speech about it. And he has since made a lot of speeches about, and I've seen him speak personally like 4 times now. He's amazing. He's hilarious. He's very kind of the earth, salt of the earth kind of guy. But he's done it about gun control. He's done it about school shootings. He's done it about marriage equality, like a lot of these like more progressive and liberal topics. So it'll be interesting to see is he just retiring for good, or is he going to have I wonder if he has a website or something that he's going to continue to speak out on. Dave is recommending, how about if a user posts 3 unread articles in a month, they're in Facebook jail. I think that's interesting. I'm get them to read for 15 seconds. Oops. And Jackie did see a post that said people aren't going back to work because they're making more money on unemployment. That's a funny way of saying you pay your employees poverty wages. Yeah. And employees at Target make $15 an hour. Yeah. And Dave, I'm not saying Chardonnay and ice cream at the same time, but both those sound wonderful. And he had a wonderful piece about Black Lives Matter last summer. Yes. And he is a supporter of law enforcement. He is a supporter of good government, all that kind of stuff too. So he's not just like out in left field like a wackadoo, or he's not the local AOC kind of person. Not that I actually like her, but I don't agree with everything she says. But anyway, that is interesting. And there was something I forgot to tell you yesterday about Vegas. So and I'll leave you with this, and then I'll look at the comments and make sure I didn't miss anything. We are leaving the room, going down to the casino, and we walk out of the elevator, and there is this older man, walking with this woman. It was kind of a very thin, looked maybe like an Asian person, very thin, wearing like almost like a 1950s, it went down and then it kind of flared out kind of skirt, like almost like a can skirt, but like a Donna Reed type skirt. And you looked at the big ass anime head. So this person was wearing an anime head with a female with tight little features, a little bob haircut. Oh, isn't that crazy? And they were going out for a night on the town, this older guy and his little anime character. Things you see in Vegas. Alrighty, let me look at the comments real quick and then make sure I did not miss anything. If you commented earlier and you want me to see it again, feel free to comment again, and I will try to loop back around to that. I don't see anything. I think that that is it. Listening in at the end here, Valerie is saying, you and I need a bottle of wine and discussion on wages, benefits, and social services. No, I think that's going to take more than a bottle of wine, maybe a few. So with that, and I'm not drinking tonight because I need to sleep really well tonight after only getting like 5 hours of sleep last night. So with that, this local queen loves you. What? So Debbie Wilmeth is saying, a friend of mine has worked for Dollar General for 15 years, and she only makes $14.95 an hour. Fuck. That's crazy. That's basically like 30,000. Because basically, if you multiply the hourly wage by 2, that is how much that person more or less would make if they were working full time. Wow. I can't even imagine that. So with that, this local queen loves you. It's important to know you were loved. Thank you for listening. I believe Carrie is here tomorrow. I've not confirmed that, but she was talking to me about something about talking on the show this week. So I'm going to take that as a yes. And I will see you tomorrow at 4:30 for another episode of Cooped Up Live, should I say. Talk to you later. Bye.